So for today, we have verses 15, 16, and 17 lined up. And I will start chanting with verse number 15. Yasmano dvijate loko lokano dvijate cha yaha हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगे मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रिया. So the verse translates to, we are continuing with the qualities of the true devotee. So, by whom world is not agitated, and who is not agitated by the world, who is freed from joy, pain, fear, and anxiety, he is dear to me. So, this is what the verse translates to. Now, let's take this up word by word. Yasmat, from whom? Na is means not. Throughout today, we'll have a lot of na coming in. So, na means not. Udvejit jate, is agitation. Udvejana karna. Udvijate is agitated. Lok is the world or the people or the beings. Lokat, from the world. Na, not. Udvijate is agitated. Cha, and yaha, he, who. Harsh, amarsh, bhayo, dvege. Now, these are four qualities which are coming out in front of us. And these are harsh, joy. Amarsh is envy. Bhay is fear. Dvege is anxiety. So, it was he who, harsh, amarsh, bhayo, dvege means from joy, envy, fear, and anxiety. Mukt is, of course, free. Yaha, who, saha, he, cha, and me, to me, priya is dear. So, by whom the world is not agitated, and who is not agitated by the world, who is freed from joy, pain, fear, and anxiety, he is dear to me. So, let's chant it together. Yasmano dvijate loko lokano dvijate chayah हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगे मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः. So as we had mentioned, the last 8 verses of the chapter are listing 35 qualities of a true bhakta or devotee. And these qualities, interestingly, you cannot really go and acquire them. You can't force yourself. For example, reading and all the skill set, you can follow a particular method of reading or teaching yourself how to read and write phonetics. You can learn a language. But the qualities that we are discussing today, they start appearing as we move further and further on our spiritual path. So they will automatically appear in us. And if they're not there, that means that particular quality we need to work on. Right? So 12 qualities we just recapped, which were there in verses 13 and 14 of this chapter. Now this verse is listing 3 more qualities. Okay. And they're very interesting actually. So the first bit he's saying, yes, man dvijate loko, or by whom the world is not agitated. That means as he moves around in the world, he or she is not agitating people around you, that person. So, you see many people coming out for a morning walk, or you meet during the day. Some of them you will try to avoid. Now, why that happens is that person is It's one of the two things. Either you are okay, when you are trying to avoid, that means a person is agitating you. Okay. So that's why you don't want to get agitated. So you avoid that person. Now let's see a true devotee. What is a true, who is a true devotee? Who is focused on that God, on Brahman, and focusing on Brahman, he or she will do only those activities in the creation, in the world, in the environment, which are in harmony with God's creation. And also because he's pitched up a higher goal, the desire for the worldly possessions drops, and the person is no longer working for selfish interests. Instead, the person is working towards the welfare of the people, the environment, beings that are around his or her place. And so naturally, in such a case, how can that person agitate the people who are around him or her, right? So a true devotee lives in harmony with the world and does not agitate the world. So this is one interesting quality. Okay. Now this you see around you. So if you're these days the flowers are blooming all over the place, and we are peeping into everyone's garden and sitting somewhere and enjoying the flowers. Very often you'll find that children will be plucking flowers. And okay, you pluck flowers if you want to put it in the puja and all. Not the kid would not only be plucking flowers, would actually be destroying it there and then. And what kind of a activity is this? This is not staying in, you're agitating the environment. You will find many people torturing animals on the road, hurting human beings. So, in such a case, when you come across someone, you always wonder, especially if someone is unknown and maybe you're traveling at night and you don't have your own vehicle, you're always worried that, okay, can I trust this person or will this person harm me? So, you see, there is a negative vibration there. So, that is what happens to us. However, you can always say that in this modern world of competition, if I were to be like this, not agitate the world and not show my one upmanship, etc., etc., how will I survive? That is brought out by the next quality, which is the second half of the first line. Loka no dvijate yaha, which translates to who is not agitated by the world. Okay. So now the devotee is not affected or afraid of the world. Now that is the other side. And if the devotee has decided to do something, he or she will proceed on that desired path. And that we just recapped as one of the qualities, Drid Nishchay, right? So this is the strength of a true seeker. And because the true devotee is finding his support, his or her support within himself or herself, the person does not need external support. And the devotee, therefore, is self sufficient. So, while the devotee is active in the world, the devotee no longer looks upon the material objects as the source of pleasure or pain. Okay. He is not affected by the world. And if an activity is on his path, whatever he has chalked out for himself or herself, that person will do it, otherwise, will avoid it. Because the true devotee is focused on God, and then what is happening in the world really does not affect him. He's not agitated. So if he sees a lion hunting and eating a prey, the kill, you know, he will not try to convert the lion to becoming a vegetarian or something of that kind. He knows that that's the nature of the lion, that's the way the lion functions. So the devotee understands that the world is acting in accordance with its nature, and the people and beings are acting according to theirs. And he has to go through all this and act according to, um, just continue on his path which he has identified for himself. So this was the these were the two qualities. The third one is harsh amarsh bhayo dvege muktaha. So as I explained, harsh is joy, Then amarsh is pain. We can also call it envy. Bhayo is fear, and dvege is anxiety. Mukt is free. So we are talking of four emotions, and the emotions are joy, envy, fear, and anxiety. These emotions are actually linked, and let's analyze it how they're linked. Uh, we have been reading from chapter 3 onwards specifically that desires are the actual sin, the papa. And why are they the pap? Because they take us out into the world and we go deluded behind them, behind our senses. And as we also recapped last time, that possessions are not forbidden by our scriptures. We can enjoy them. I mean, they're meant to be enjoyed. So if is an object, so if you have a flower in the garden, you will enjoy the fragrance, the color, the beauty of the flower. That is why it's there. And that is why your senses are there. So there is no restriction or limitations on our possessions. But when we are desire ridden, so you see one flower, then you want to see another one, and so on and so forth, it goes on. And we become obsessed about the desire. So now, see, then what happens is that we are worried about the fruit of the act we are doing. So if my garden is blooming and someone else's garden is not blooming, now that someone else might become anxious as to why other people's are blooming and mine is not blooming. So having even got the blooms, there is really no joy, because now let's take analyze it with a more materialistic approach. And I thought the approach of money would work better here. Because now suppose I feel that I don't have enough money. Okay. I stay in a neighborhood and I feel that my basic needs are not met and I should have more money. So, okay, how much more do I need? A crore, 10 crores. How much do I want? Let's put it at that today I have 1 crore and I'll be happy at, uh, 10 crores. Today I have 1 crore and I'll be happy with 10 crores in my bank account. Fine. Now that comes my way. So I'm happy in the beginning. All these are relative things now. And if it does not come my way, I'm unhappy actually, then so one set of uh, two emotions have come into play already, right? Now let's take up the case that I'm happy, I've got 10 crores and I feel that I fit well in the neighborhood and all that. But when I start looking around carefully, I find that, still 50% of the people are much better off than me. So my desire increases. Okay. Now I want 100 crores. Okay. There is no end to this. I get 100 crores. Then I want to be the richest person in India. Then I want to enter the Forbes list, top the Forbes list of Fortune 500 uh, individuals or whatever. Now, suppose I become the richest person in the world. Am I satisfied there? What happens to me? Would anyone like to venture here? I'm the richest person in the world. What will happen to me now?
To make sure that I reach on top, I would keep on, wanting more so that others don't reach me.
Yeah, so I'm scared. You see, so now the fear sets in
Mm.
that today I am the richest person,
Mm.
but then for how long will I remain the richest? So
Mm.
this is the fear that comes in. So this is a cycle, which is this is a worldly cycle of desires and emotions that follow the desire. Now, in case of a true devotee, the true devotee is not seeking, the goal is not set outside. The goal is set inside, because the true happiness is within all of us. It's the same happiness. So, whatever is my happiness is the same as your happiness. All of us are connected to the same source. So, actually, there is no competition. In fact, we have a lot of peer feeling towards each other. We feel, oh, how nice. This person is also on the spiritual journey, and let us support each other. So that is how we become free, mukt, from joy, envy, fear, and anxiety. And Krishna says that such a devotee is dear to him. So that was verse number 15. Let's move on to verse number 16. Also, let's keep a count. See, up to in 13 and 14, we had done 12 qualities. In 14, in 15, we've done 3 qualities. And now we come to verse number 16 of the chapter. अनपेक्षाः शुचिर्दक्षः उदासीनो गतव्यतः सर्वारम्परित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः. So the verse translates to free from wants, pure, skillful, unconcerned, untroubled, renouncer of all undertakings. He, she, my devotee is dear to me. Right? So let's take this up word by word. Anapeksha is without expectations or without wants, expecting nothing from the world. So free from wants. Shuchi is something that is pure, clean. Daksha is skilled. And we will take this word up in the discussion. Udasin, indifferent or unconcerned. Gat vyataha, untroubled. Sarv arambh parityagi. Now, sarv is all, arambh is commencement or start, parityagi is renouncer. So, the word sarv arambh parityagi implies renouncer of all undertakings, that I started this and I did that. Okay. Yaha he mad bhakta, my devotee, saha he, may to me, priya is dear. So free from wants, pure, skillful, unconcerned, untroubled, renouncer of all undertakings, he, she, my devotee is dear to me. So let's chant it together. Anapeksha shuchirdaksha udasino gatvyatha सर्व आरंपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः. So in this verse, 6 more qualities are coming our way, okay, of a true bhakta who is dear to Krishna. So the first quality, anapeksha, free from wants or dependence upon. So you see, such a person is not dependent upon money, power, friends, positions, status, because a person is a true devotee takes the support of the Lord. That is his or her support. And the only desire is that of self-realization. The path to which is through oneself, within oneself. So the person is not really dependent upon the outside world. So if pleasure comes, it's fine. If sorrow comes, that's fine. If it is hot, it's okay. If it is cold, it's okay. The person continues on his journey of realizing the self and whatever activities are required for that. So that is anapeksha. Shuchi, purity, cleanliness. Now here we are talking about both internal and external purity actually. So most of us, we understand impurity at the physical level, or talk of cleanliness. So we keep ourselves, our homes, our environment clean. We also have the saying cleanliness and godliness, which is what is coming out here. So at the physical level, it is quite clear what cleanliness is or lack of it is. We have to, also include mental and intellectual cleanliness or purity. And what is the biggest impurity at the mental and intellectual level? Anyone would like to answer that? biggest,
Repeat, please.
sorry,
Can you repeat the question?
what is the biggest impurity at the, mental and intellectual level?
Vasanas, the vasanas.
Yeah, desires. Absolutely.
Desire.
Desires which give rise to vasanas. That is impurity because that is what taints our action. Okay. So you see, the theme of Bhagavad Gita is very, very consistently the same. We are talking about self-control, desires being sin. So, and how to work ahead and remove the desires, clean our surface, right? So the impurity is the desire, and we just took that example of that, 1 crore to 10 crores to 100 crores and so on. That is an example of how it builds onto us. And because of desire, pure emotions like love, for example, it becomes an obsession that, when if you love someone and that person says a no to you, you cannot handle it. You need the person, so you become obsessive. So it becomes a negative trait. And actually, there is a complete chapter which talks about certain attributes, how they are divine if handled properly or become demonic when not handled correctly. So this is how the pure emotions also, they become negative and impurities. And it is these impurities that cover the Atman, the God within us. And that's why we don't see that God. So the true devotee understands the nature of desires and how they have to be avoided. He should not multiply his existing desires and try to reduce his baggage, as it were. And here you will recollect, I think it was in chapter 2 that we had done, when Arjuna had asked Krishna that what is the nature of a jnani, right? So he had said that he moves around in the world like a tortoise. Okay, and at the first instance of problem, he withdraws the head, the four limbs, and the tail within its hard shell. Now, what is that time we had discussed what was this signifying? The mind and the five senses are brought under the aegis of the intellect, and the intellect, the person lets the intellect function at that point of time, right? So, such is the kind of true devotee who is very careful and who is pure. So that means he starts removing the desires till the time the purity within him or this God within him emerges. So that is why it's a attribute, right? Also, we have to understand that like these qualities, God emerges. It cannot be acquired. We cannot attain God. We have to let it unfold, let it reveal through our layers. Because God is within us. It's not something outside that we have to, get or obtain. God is very much a part and parcel of us. It's just that we have covered that Paramatman with all our desires and longing for the world, right? So that was the next quality that we had talked about. Then Daksh. Okay, now Daksh I have translated, and most of the translations that I checked out have translated it to skillful. Okay, but now see, when you did your PT exercises, physical training in school, and you see the army people, so one thing we always did know is attention and at ease, right? And so the moment from at ease means you could relax. Attention meant that you have to straighten up immediately. Yeah, hands by your side, shoulders thrown back, head facing, and you are ready. What it also means is that you're ready to you handle the next set of orders that are going to come your way, right? That is exactly what Daksh means in Sanskrit. It means alert. He is alert and vigilant. A true devotee is alert and vigilant. So it means skillful, smart, prompt, alert, and also an expert. Okay. Now, this attribute or this quality is in sharp contrast to the general impression that all of us have, that a devotee is casual, is passive, may not have any specific skills. That is not true. The devotee is actually very skilled. We have to remove our misconception. A true devotee will never make statements like, oh my God, I forgot about that. Oh, I didn't take care of that person. I missed that. Those things will never actually be in the vocabulary of a true devotee, because a true devotee is smart, alert, and skillful in whatever the devotee undertakes. So, be it science, political, military, beauty pageants, whatever it is, that devotee is smart, is alert. Now we come to the next quality, which is udasin, concerned. Now, this is not to be taken in a negative manner. It doesn't mean that anything is happening around you in the world and you're really not bothered. It does not mean that you're inactive or the devotee is inactive. The devotee will do his or her obligatory activities and move on. So you're walking on the road and someone falls down, it is your obligatory duty to at least give some kind of a support to that person, ensure that that person reaches home or to the hospital. So that is what the obligatory duty is at that point of time. So the devotee will perform those duties and move on, just as the way an actor does on a stage, plays the part and moves on, doesn't take it home. So just because someone played the role of a dead man, it doesn't mean that even after the curtains fall that the person has to be carried home. No, the person will get up and walk home. I mean, so you just play your part, you're there in this scheme of things and move on with your attention, with always being on the self. So this is what udasin means, and not inaction. You will do your obligatory activities, but move on after doing that. Gatvyata is untroubled. Now, this is a direct result of the previous quality, unconcerned. Because since you have done the best you could in the given situation, you are never actually troubled. You're never troubled. You know that this is the best I could have done in that situation. And we normally carry the worries of the past or are anxious about the future. And all these are worldly attributes. The devotee is always in the present and is supported by, finds his support in God. You may remember, I think in the previous chapter, we had said that Paramatman is the greatest support, the ultimate support of all of us. So the devotees take support from that God, and only goal being God realization. He or she is free of worldly duties, worldly worries and anxieties, and therefore is untroubled. Just performs activities and moves on. Sarva, then the last quality in this verse, or the sixth quality, is Sarv Arambh Parityagi, or renouncer of all undertakings. This means that he is actually not, he's free from doership, that I started this, I commenced this, I'm responsible for this. No. And again, I would like to build the context here that it's not that we are saying this for the first time in the Bhagavad Gita. We have been saying this. And as far back as chapter 3, the Karma Yoga chapter, verse number 27, which I like to quote here, and there are a lot of other verses. I'm just quoting some just to build a context that we have been talking about this, like 9 chapters from the previous 9 chapters. So verse 27 of chapter 3 said that, translates to, that actions in all cases are performed by the gunas or the qualities of Prakriti, nature. One who is deluded by egoism thinks I am the doer, right? So we've been actually reading this. So when we think that I started this, I won this trophy, I constructed this, we are all deluded. History tells us that civilizations have come and gone, creatures have come and gone. Nothing in the world is, or in the creation is, permanent. When we look at these centuries and centuries of history, before us, we realize we are just a tiny cog or a drop in the divine scheme of things, right? And then we actually realize our insignificance, frankly. Once you understand the totality, then you realize how insignificant you are. The true devotee understands the totality and realizes his place or his or her place in that totality. And see, the thing is that it is important to understand that today, when I'm communicating with you and we are all in the session, we can see each other, we can hear each other. This technology has not just appeared on the scene all of a sudden. I mean, if you go back, let's say 20 years ago, someone would have laughed at this kind of imagination. If someone would have suggested that you can have virtual meetings, people would have laughed. And that is like only 20 years ago, maybe, right? The concept of the mobile phone. All this would people would have really actually not even made fun, would have made fun of us and would have uh, said that what kind of concept is this? Now, when we are doing this today, we have to understand that it is a lot of technology, effort, experimentation, and effort which has been put by the scientists across the world and over years, decades, that enables us to do anything. So even in the world around us, we see this. So he does not have this notion of that I'm responsible for this or any undertaking that I have done this, because there's so many people who are supporting that person, right? So that was the 6 qualities of this chapter, of this verse. We move on to verse number 17, the last verse for the day. Yo na harshati na dveshti na shochati na kankshati शुभाशुभ परित्यागी भक्ति मान्या समे प्रियः. So the verse translates to he who neither rejoices nor hates, nor grieves, nor desires, renouncer of good and evil, full of devotion is dear to me. So let's take this up word by word. Yaha is who, na is not. So na in this verse is always not. Harshati rejoices. So not rejoices. Dveshti is hates, not hates. Na shochati, not. Shochati is grieves, so not grieves. Not kankshati is desires or akanksha rakna, want something. So does not desire. Shubh, ashubh, parityagi. So shubh is good. Ashubh is that which is not good or evil. Parityagi is renouncer. So shubh, ashubh, parityagi means a renouncer of good and evil. Bhaktiman is full of devotion. Yaha, he, saha, who, me, to me, priya is dear. So he who neither rejoices, nor hates, nor grieves, nor desires, a renouncer of good and evil, full of devotion is dear to me. So let's chant it together. Yo na harshati na dveshti na shochati na kankshati shubha shubha parityagi bhakti manya same priya. So now we are listing, this verse is listing 5 more qualities of the bhakta, and of that, the one in the first line, na harshati, na dveshti, na shochati, na kankshati. One will take it up together. What it means is, does not rejoice, hate, grieve, or desire. Now, these are representing the devotee's inner state. Because the seeker is engrossed in Brahman, the seeker is not bothered by what happened in the past, what is going on in the future, in the present. He does his obligatory duties and is not anxious about the future. So see, when a child is born, we become very happy. You get a job, you get happy, and you lose sense of what should I say, balance. We start hitting this roof, as it were, right? Now what happens? Why is it happening? Because let me take this up with an example. It's something that we don't have, and we get, so we start feeling very happy about it. And once it goes away, then we start feeling sad. Now, see, if we are in the dark, let's say we are in a dark cave and we don't have our mobile with us, and I can't see anything now. So someone comes in and says, okay, I'll show you a lamp. I will light, shows us a light. We naturally become happy. Okay, now I'll be able to move around at least. Now, if the wind comes and the flame goes off, I get upset. I feel annoyed that now I can't see again. But if I am standing outside, see, I was in the dark cave, but if I was standing outside under the noonday sun, whether the flame is lit or not lit, it does not matter to me. I am not dependent on that flame. I'm already under light. So the seeker, the true devotee, revels in that light, the light of the Lord, and is not bothered, and so does not rejoice when it is there, and does not fret when it is not there, because the support under which the devotee is functioning is that Brahman, that God, that is the light which is there for him. So the seeker rises above the pleasure and despair. So that was the first set of verses, attributes: rejoice and hate, envy. And then does not despair or mourn. So, I mean, okay, all of us have losses. You lose your loved ones, you lose even maybe your best belongings, but you don't go overboard in that despair. You know that this will happen. This is part of life. People will be there one day and someday they will not be there. Right? So the devotee does not really despair and mourn. I mean, those emotions may exhibit. I mean, so if you lose a loved one, you will cry and you will miss that person. But he is able to rise above that. He does not hanker for these worldly situations or grieves and unpleasant ones. That person knows that this will happen. These are part and parcel of life. There are no expectations from the world, nor are there any desires for the future. Now, this you may ask that according to these qualities, that person is like a statue, no? That whatever comes, that person is just there, not reacting to the world, right? And of course, I gave you that example of the tortoise also, where immediately that person, a wise person, withdraws from the world, okay, and comes under the aegis of the intellect. So, but this is not, it's not that God is saying that he wants us to be a statue so that we may reach him. There is a contradiction here. And whenever there is a contradiction, like even in the previous set of verses, you remember when we were talking about the sequence of the methods, and then the verse number 12 turned that sequence upside down. That is the place where we have to think, reflect, analyze that what is being said here. And we have to, each one of us has to think and consider this, analyze this statement. What is being said is that this is the body's inner state in perfect balance and equanimity. Okay, so this set of the first line talked about the four qualities, reflecting the inner state of the devotee. Then we come to the external attribute, which is Shubh Ashubh Parityag. So, just as the devotee is balanced within himself, the devotee is also balanced in the external happenings of the world. he or she understands that the creation is in a state of flux, and good and bad, they coexist, and they will go on, and they go on simultaneously. And none of them, neither the unpleasantness nor the pleasantness, is permanent. That is the way life is. That is the way the nature is, the Prakriti is. So the seeker who's rooted in the self, just functions from that ultimate support. That is the support which is unwavering, which will never ever go, does not shake. So these were the 5 qualities. And I will also like to sum up that in 13 and verses 13 and 14, we did 12, 15, we did 3, 16, we did 6 qualities, and 17, we have done 5. That makes a total of 26 qualities. So 9 more are to be covered, which will be covered in the next 3 verses. And with that, we end today's session.